Hi, welcome. I've been expecting you. Come through. Absolutely, because you need an appointment to see me. I'm having some coffee. I hope you don't mind. I wouldn't call it epic, but I'm definitely very committed because as a psychic medium, I need to keep this going. Every medium is a psychic, but not every psychic is a medium. But psychic really just means heightened senses. Of course I can. Not in a traditional sense. I'm not doing well with getting burned and stuff like that, and I'm not doing witchcraft either. No, and even if I could, I wouldn't, because they are an X for a reason, and most likely we are an X for a reason as well, and I don't do witchcraft. I don't do the fangs anymore, just a bit of growling and a bit of howling, and sometimes it can get a bit hairy. I was born and raised in Bavaria, Germany. I studied there as well. I came here when I was 21, just a week after my 21st birthday, for 1 year voluntary work at the children's home. And then I was a teacher as well. But in my early 30s, I was still a childcare worker at the children's home. And a friend of mine asked me to fill in for another friend of hers who couldn't make it for a Reiki course, which I didn't quite know what it was at that stage. So I filled in, I did my Reiki course with her, which was no here, no there for me at that stage, and I had to do practicals. So I did practicals and I asked people to come to be my guinea pigs, and a lady came to me, which I didn't know before. I did an hour Reiki session on her, and throughout the 1 hour, I kept on getting the song of a Cocoa Pop Monkey in my head and the pictures of it. So I had a whole hour to figure out where it's coming from, and I couldn't place it. So after the hour, I asked the lady if the Cocoa Pop Monkey makes any sense to her. Of course, it didn't make to me, and it drove me nuts. And the next thing was that poor lady just burst out crying and was sharing with me that she lost her 3-year-old daughter a little while before that, who was obsessed with the Cocoa Pop Monkey. And that was my first kind of oh my word, there's more to it. And I really went more into it from there onwards and did some more courses and really just spent a lot of time with that. And that was my real first experience with crossing over and connecting as such. That was a little bit of a mixed bag because I'm from a Bavarian little Roman Catholic dorpy, but I must say they were all quite supportive. Some of them are still not quite sure what exactly I'm doing, but yeah, my grandma still tells everybody I'm teaching in South Africa. No, they don't, and I'm also very, very clear about it. There's two versions. There's Heike the psychic medium, and there is Heike the private person. So for my friends and family, I'm just Heike the sister, the mother, or whatever. There is no free readings and all of that all the time. Very slowly, I didn't even know I had them. I was absolutely unaware of them. As I said, I only got to them in my early 30s. And then it was a very gradual thing, and it was a little bit like Alice in Wonderland, because once you start with the one, you really just get intrigued. No, not at all. I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't like to do anything else. It took me a while to balance it out, but I'm absolutely loving it. That is my strongest sides are seeing, feeling, and hearing. So I get a combination of pictures, impressions, and sounds. So it is a little bit like playing charades at times, but it is those four main ones that I do get my messages with. I've seen many spirits, and they look a lot like us. Sometimes they're also just, well, become like animals as well, sometimes just as a you or like as a smoky kind of thing. It's very different, but yes, spirits are everywhere. I'm sure you've seen them as well. I read the current energy, and depending on what you align yourself with, I can tell you there's 4 or 5 different outcomes. It's for you to choose which one you want the most likely to have. Yes, I do. And especially also when it comes to the Reiki healing and all of that. It's like checking in like with your doctor once, so you just want to know if you're aligned or not, and sometimes there's more going on. It's like you have this huge map and you don't know how to read it and how to start it and which route to take, and when people come, I can show them this is where you're at, this is where you want to go, and give you a clear look. It's like a magnifying glass for it, and you still get to choose the route. Oh yes, absolutely. It does not necessarily mean it's always a bad thing, and it's not a bad spirit, but very often it was still necessary and they weren't too disturbed about it, or then simply I stopped giving the messages. Oh yes, absolutely. I also stopped readings right in the middle, and I think that's important for anybody and everybody out there. I don't handle it. My job is to deliver the message, not how it's being perceived. I obviously try to do it in the nicest possible way, but my job is to deliver the message in the nicest possible way. It's not more difficult, and it definitely doesn't change the quality of the reading either, but it's always obviously nice when you have a person sitting in front of you. They used initially, and it was a bit of a thing to get that balance, but by now it's like when I'm out and about, it's Heike being out and about, and I do my own energy, and it's not just random energies coming up to me. There's definitely not so nice energies out there, but together with my guides that I connect with, I can identify them, but I'm not connecting with them. Bad news is always in the eyes of the beholder as well. I'm not filtering any messages that are coming through. That's not my job. It's kind of like the postman saying you can have this letter or not that letter. And bad messages as such don't exist. So I am delivering the message that is coming through. The reaction of the person receiving it, because she started jumping up and yelling and started fighting with the person that we were actually connecting with on the other side, and I got such a fright. I actually sat and recharged between the readings as well. I neutralized the energies, but when I'm out of the office and I'm not doing readings or sessions, I literally am living a very normal, ordinary life, and lots of family stuff. We're quite a wacky family, lots of nature, lots of me time as well. I can get peopled out, and yeah, just a lot of grounding. Initially they didn't. I think I was like a zombie for the first 2 weeks and found myself 2 o'clock in the morning writing messages to strangers. That thankfully stopped, and we agreed that I have to do the human thing and sleep. I actually do. They're not always spiritual. Something's just really wacky, but I also do have the spiritual ones, yes. I don't deal with negative criticism anymore. It's just not worth it. I'm open for discussions, I'm open for curiosity, I'm open for sharing and exchanging, but nobody learns for criticism. So I'm just not dealing with it. Absolutely. I don't believe in reinventing the wheel, and I also just want to get messages sometimes. Go by recommendation. Secondly, also, I always say, if they don't put their face to it, don't go there. There's so many fly-by-nights, and I don't blame people if they're a bit skeptical about it. Also, any reading with a psychic medium should leave you empowered and not codependent or signed up with anybody either. And if they somehow want to sign you up for any spell removal and all of that, run and report them. So it's definitely a very personal thing. Like you're scared of anything, it's fears, things that we don't know, and it's a lot of superstition, and has normally it's linked to the belief system they've grown up with. Yes, I am. I'm actually a Roman Catholic on top of it all, and I grew up very blissfully so. Yes, and Muslim ones and Hindu ones and Jewish ones, and it's people choosing their path on how they believe they can live their best lives. It's human nature. People purposely choosing to make decisions that affect themselves and others with any kind of absence of kindness and love-based. Oh, where should we start? Witchcraft, doing the devil's work, fraud, taking advantage of emotional people, pretty much anything and everything. But again, this is not mine, this is theirs to hold. Well, some of them come with very, very specific ideas of what they need to hear or what I should confirm, and if that doesn't happen, they don't like it. It doesn't happen very often, and sometimes people go home and tell their partners, Heike said, and then I get phone calls. And so it's not real complaints as such, because it's like shoot the postman, but the message was yours, so yeah. I think they're awesome, they're fabulous, and I think Hollywood is really doing them a great injustice. Voodoo dolls are actually protectors of the living and the dead, so no thanks to Hollywood though. No, actually never, but a Ouija board is like anything else, thanks Hollywood. It's a tool like anything else. It's like cards, it's like a pendulum, it's on itself can't do anything. All interconnected. Everything is energy, and every energy here, if it's a human, if it's an animal, is interconnected. So I firmly believe we have soul contracts with each other in several lifetimes in which we fulfill them. Absolutely, absolutely. There's nothing else but that on the other side. Yes, we certainly do, and normally there's also one or two of past loved ones that were close to us that come very clearly through before we pass to kind of like walk us over. I believe in heaven, and I believe that people make life here hell, but heaven and hell as in the typical, this is both on the other side, when we get there, does not exist. Hell on the other side does not exist. I never came across it. Well, even Hitler had soul contracts with everybody, and he also gets to heaven because there is nothing else, but his transition to the other side will be much longer. Because the transition time between our lifetime here and before we get to the other side is the time where we go through everything, how we had an effect on this world and the soul contracts that we had with others. Without evil, there is no good. Nothing can rise without the other. So we needed people to rise above themselves. We had people to trigger that. So, and even Hitler wasn't born evil. Nobody's born evil. That you've been asked in aisle number 3 with these frozen vegetables, like, can you just quickly give me a message about my granddad passed 3 weeks ago, or that we have dinner somewhere and they come up to you. There's a lot of public kind of like, just quickly give me a message. Oh, and very, very, very lame jokes over and over. It's like, and I don't know the lotto numbers. Oh, one would be is like when I say, how are you? And they say, I'm well, but you already knew that. Sure, that's why I asked. I do Reiki energy healing as well. I do metaphysical profiling, as in like what is our body telling us. I do numerology, I do workshops, I do retreats, anything with energy, which is pretty much everything. No, absolutely not. I absolutely love what I do, and it's a constant movement, which energy is about. So it's sometimes more of this and sometimes more of that. So it's fascinating. It's the best thing ever. They don't give it as a career option at school though. Everything is energy. We are all energy. We all have the same abilities. If I was blissfully unaware in my mid-30s about it, and I'm doing now what I'm doing, anybody can do that. So there is no they can do it, I can't do it. It's anything that you spend time and you can develop. Every psychic has, I'm just faltering here now. I'm not doing witchcraft. I don't know what I said earlier on. Do I have to say the same thing? No, I'm not a witch in the traditional sense. Wasn't. And now here I am doing it full time. I don't know what happened. Never gets old, never gets old. Oh, sure. No, they're a bit crunchy and you can't get free range ones anymore.